Welcome back everyone. Let's get straight into talking about the evidence of common descent. So, we summed up most of the ideas similar to common descent. We called this summary, the narrative of evolution. And the narrative of evolution is the idea that every living species share a common ancestor. The way scientists try to prove this is by observing findings from many fields of science. They try to make sense of all the various information. Many believe that common descent is the best way to do so. The information that supports this idea is usually referred to as lines of evidence. Here are a few examples of lines of evidence that support the narrative of evolution: comparative anatomy, DNA comparisons, embryology and development, and fossil records. Check out how these lines of evidence lead to human evolution. For example, when comparing fossils of humans and Neanderthals, scientists have noticed compelling similarities on many levels. Through these similarities they were able to conclude that humans are related to Neanderthals. And this is a diagram showing how humans relate to other species. This idea was conceived by piecing together many lines of evidence. It's not that we came from monkeys, but instead we share an ancestor. For the time being, we're only going to talk about the evidence that relates us to the common ancestor. As previously explained, to come to the conclusion that we are related to a specific ancestor, scientists noticed similarities between humans and another species. But the fundamental problem with this conclusion is that similarities don't concomitant a relationship, let alone causation. Have you ever seen this guy before? Of course you have. It's Bruce Willis, a well-known actor who's been in monster hits such as Die Hard, The Fifth Element, and The Sixth Sense. But wait. This isn't Bruce Willis. In fact, his name is General Doug MacArthur. And even though there's a striking resemblance, they aren't even related at all. And just because the general lived before Bruce, that doesn't make him his father. And it would be even more outlandish to think that the general is a great actor too. So, it's more than obvious that similarities don't mean there's a relationship between two things. You're probably wondering, how can you prove a relationship? One way is to replicate the scenario and remove all other variables. Just like the way we are able to replicate the causality between heat and melting metal. But unfortunately that's not possible in the case of human evolution. Because none of what are believed to be our ancestors are still alive today. Another way is to eliminate all other possibilities, until you are left with only one, that these two things are related. For instance, if we found an old book, and we didn't know who the author was, but we noticed similarities between it and other works of a few great authors. Ultimately we figured out it was written in a time and place that eliminates a number of possibilities. And eventually through more research we were able to eliminate the rest, until we were left with only one possibility. That it was written by William Shakespeare. Many scientists have tried to use this method. They've ruled out that coincidence was the reason for the similarities between species, leaving them with only one other possibility, that one evolved from the other. But hold up a minute, there's another plausible answer. And that is that each species was created this way. And the only way to eliminate this possibility is to disprove a creator, which is impossible, because it's a non-falsifiable idea. So to conclude, similarities between things don't mean they're related. And methods that prove a relationship cannot be applied to prove that we are related to an extinct species. And that's why this meaning of evolution is so controversial. It's not strictly a religious debate, but more so a logical evaluation of its evidence. And to be certain with no proof is just as logical as believing in Bigfoot.
Hey, look, a new subscriber.